My name is Jeremy R.L. Mitchell. I am old, 27 years old to be exact, and I am a professional illustrator in using the Japanese animation style. I have been drawing for nearly 11 years. I was very not good at expressing how I felt about anything in my life, really, and I eventually got into drawing Japanese animation. I found a lot of things like Sailor Moon that came out. Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball happened to be two of the biggest animes of our time still. From that point, I think I did a lot of video games going into 2005 and 6. I learned coloring and different techniques through self-learning. I found myself really just being able to look at something and just learn, and I think that's what the Japanese animation and manga style, that's how I kind of got onto that, is that I really just could sit there and look at it. As young as I was in high school, I wanted to make sure that I knew exactly what I was doing. I didn't want to look like I was copying. I didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was doing at all. Like, it was such an important thing for me. And it just so happened that I was like one of 3 people that drew in the time, because, 1996, there was no one really drawing manga or anime in school at all. From there, I kind of promised myself that I would learn how to draw 3 major things that I thought were lacking in the art community and in the industry: was expression, hair, and perspective, and hands as well. I wanted to be able to make sure that the hardest things to draw were the major things in my style. And I don't know, I can give you an example of something that features everything that I've mentioned. Love drawing hair, as you can tell, lots of detail. Love drawing hands. It's one of my favorite things. It's all expressive things. I love drawing expressions. You can tell kind of how the characters feel or what they're doing and stuff. And at first I was featured, or my work was featured on breakfast television, and that was for the advertisement of AGO Hype. That was in 2001, I believe, or 2000, I can't remember. I did free drawings of headshots, and they could come to the table and they would draw them. And at first it was kind of picking up or whatever, and next thing you know it, there's a huge lineup starting from at the bottom of the basement, somewhere, I don't know, somewhere in the basement, going up the stairs and out to the entrance of the AGO, lined up for people wanting to get sketches. That pushed my style big time. Like I said, I'm very picky about the things I watch, or the things that inspire me. On a list of things, starting from the first thing that got me into anime to begin with, is Sailor Moon. The people that I meet from day-to-day life. When I was actually teaching at Senator O'Connor, I found a lot of the students inspired me as well. I was doing a lot of different art at that time, and they kind of helped me to broaden my horizons and be creative, even though I was teaching them to be creative as well. Like, you can always learn from different sources. So for instance, manga, you'll get, if you watch the films, they won't be shown on TV because they tend to have a lot of gore, they tend to have a lot of violence and nudity and a lot of rated R stuff. Now with Japanese animation, well, anime is called Japanese animation, that's the actual name for it. That's mainly what you see on TV. the shows like Yu-Gi-Oh, Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball, more of the current stuff, Death Note. With those things, they also have their components, which are the manga component. The manga component is pretty much anything that comes into movies or the form of black and white comics. It's good to just kind of expose yourself to different things. I find I'm more influenced by the American industry, believe it or not. American comic books, the format, the way that it's presented with a team, whereas manga books, they are usually one artist, drawing, writing it, everything. And if there is an assistant, they never show the credits for the assistant. They just kind of leave them out. And it's mainly just an artist that's focused on that. Look at it this way. As much as we're influenced by Japanese animation and manga in America or the Western district, the Japanese are really into our American work. Japanese animations constantly with new content, and they go so far into their stories and they go so far into their animations and the quality and the production. I just think we just needed something different, and this is something that definitely caught on, and it's gonna change history. Definitely, it already has. Popularity amongst teens when it comes to Japanese animation and manga. Do I keep that in mind? Definitely, because I was a teenager when I started drawing it. A lot of my ideas for my original comic books and stuff come from when I was younger, and spawned from there. I definitely will not dub out teenagers from the kind of work that I do. In fact, it's mainly targeted to them. Would there be a difference between me doing artwork for targeting teenagers compared to adults? Yes, there would be, to a degree. Most of that's in writing technique. There are things that you could write and draw for a teenager that has either been long lived by an adult, that they wouldn't really focus on that, or it would be the other way around. I'll have to admit, since Sailor Moon, there hasn't really been anything that's really gotten me. But for story, it's really good, actually. But the thing that really hit me the most is Death Note. Death Note is to be watched, to be read 2, 3, 4 times if you can. Actually, I happen to be lucky, and I'm working with some pretty big people right now. One of the projects that I'm working on is called Shadow Law, the comic book. It's going to be a graphic novel releasing this year. I'm also working on several other titles, 2 of them which are my creator owned. One of them is called The Unitopians, and that one's more of a comedy, manga anime type. It's more of something that upbeat and very funny and light and just easy to read. That's what I want. I don't really make titles like that, and everything's dark, and if I spend too much time on it, it gets darker and darker. So this one I try to keep my hands off of for a long time. The other title that I'm working on is called Crystal Blade, pending title, and that one's going to be a more serious title. With Unitopia, I'm drawing and writing that title, and coloring it. With the stuff I'm working on this year, it really puts me to the test. I'm working on 5 different books that are releasing this year. Next year, I intend on releasing more of my original titles, and from there, it's going to be pretty big. Big stuff is going to happen.